Welcome to Your Unapologetic Life, the podcast. I'm Morgan Barkis, your body confidence coach, with a unique blend of education and experience. With degrees in psychology and marriage and family therapy, coupled with over a decade of working as an exotic dancer as well as a exotic dance and fitness instructor, I'm here to guide you on a transformative journey. If you're ready to break free from societal norms and embrace your authentic self, you're in the right place. Tune in for insightful conversations and empowering strategies that will help you rediscover your confidence. As a special gift to you, I'm offering an exclusive Lose the Midlife Belly guide. All you have to do is visit morganbarkis.com and subscribe to my email list. Let's dive into this episode. This summer, I was in the West Loop in Chicago waiting on a friend. I was at this bougie hotel, bar, restaurant situation, and it was a gorgeous sunny afternoon. I had spent the day wandering around the West Loop like I like to do. It's my favorite area in Chicago. And I was wearing this fantastic blue jean vest that I got, I think from Anthropology. Either that or it was a really random boutique. I can't remember now. And this beautiful, colorful, printed, flowy skirt. I love summer. Summer, you can just wear such beautiful things. Winter is so confining in so many ways. So, anyway, reminiscing about this beautiful afternoon in the West Loop in Chicago. And I had a moment where I just thought, isn't this grand? I'm sitting here and I'm Morgan. I'm not boobs first and then Morgan. And for over a decade, I was boobs first. And I say that because I went from Dolly Parton to Frankenstein, and I'm really, really happy about it. The journey starts way back when I was a kiddo, getting into my teenage years, and then later in my teens. As we all do, we develop and we have certain genetics from both sides of our families. And I just got the short and curvy side of the family, like my paternal grandmother. And I just didn't like how I looked. I didn't like that I was short and I just was more muscular or thicker, if you will, than my maternal side of my family. And I thought, how come I'm not tall and skinny? And I just detested the genetics that I ended up with, including my breasts. They were large and they were saggy, like way saggier than the typical or I should say, the assumed of a teenager. They can joke that when you're young, your boobs are high and tight, and then you have kids or you get older. No, I was saggy from the start, and I never appreciated how they were. I was really, I wouldn't say embarrassed of them because it was what it was. I just didn't like them. I didn't like that they weren't the shape or the sit up nice and high and tight like some of the other breasts I had seen, whether it was in real life or otherwise. It was just like, well, how did I end up with these things? These empty tube socks. And they weren't that terrible. I mean, it's not like I had kids or anything. And they just weren't what I had expected or what I was hoping for. And when I had the opportunity to change them, I took it. Um, when I was 30 years old, I decided that I would do a breast augmentation. And with the implants, I would also get a half lift. So not only did the breast fill out, the doctor also did a half of a lift. So then now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I was much more full and much more lifted up, if you will. And how I found my doctor when I finally decided. And, and it was my own displeasure with the genetics that I got, and then also and how I developed, and just the inspiration of seeing certain breasts, if you will. So, like, for me, there was the woman that I worked with at the dance studio. She owned the studio, and she would wear, these bras and her little tank tops, and I would think, "Man," I mean, she to me, she was like a Barbie. And I just loved that she had this very full chest, and I thought, "Man, I really want that." And I can picture that in my mind. Those were the 2 things that made me make the choice to do a breast augmentation in the first place. It was my displeasure with my genetics, and then also seeing someone with breast implants and thinking, "I love how full and round that looks, and I want that." And so those were the 2 reasons that I decided to get, implants in the first place. And I was 30 years old when I decided to do that, and I was thrilled. I didn't have any issues with the anesthesia, so next day, I right out of recovery, I was trying on, swimsuit tops and any top I could think of to just delight in this new, set of boobs that I had. I was just very excited about it, and for years, I truly enjoyed them. I liked the look. It was very Playboy-esque. My doctor did a wonderful job of making sure I was perfectly symmetrical on the top and the bottom, and, and I really took advantage of that. I wanted that kind of attention from men, and I also liked, for my own self, a much more full, voluptuous look, and so, like I said, I got the surgery, in 2010, and I got my implants out in 2024. So I had a lot of fun, and I enjoyed them, and I tell you what, I mean, my former lovers have had many, many a videos and pictures sent, and I liked that it was very Barbie-esque. I always loved Barbie growing up, and she was criticized heavily for being unproportional, and most toys are, and most dolls are, so I saw nothing wrong with Barbie. I thought she was wonderful. And I really I listened to a, documentary on Hugh Hefner and how he started Playboy, and that was my era. I was in that era of my life. I grew up in a small town. There were very few dating options, and then I moved to the quote unquote big city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and now all of a sudden I have a lot of opportunities, and I'm dating, and I'm having fun, and I'm getting all this male attention that I didn't want when I was in my hometown in Wisconsin, because I went to school with most of those people from kindergarten on. Like, I just every year my mom would joke, the first day of school, joke but half serious, hoping she'd say, "Well, you never know. Maybe someone new moved into town." And I would come home after the first day of school, kindergarten on, and say, "Well, no, it's the same people I went to school with last year." And it wasn't like most of those people became suitors or potential suitors for me. They were just people I knew and went to school with. So I didn't date much in high school. And then, like I said, when I went and to the big city and lived a full life as an adult, it was just so different. And I was looking for that kind of attention, and I was testing those boundaries, and what does attraction mean, and just attention in general. And I was dancing at the time too. So for me, it was like, I joke now, I tell people, "Look, I had a great time. Me and the girls, we made money, and we had a great time." And that was that era. Little side note, how I found my surgeon, when I put it in my head, and this is kind of how I live my life, I believe that when you want something, you put that intention into the world, and the universe responds. And what was interesting to me is I was at a like some kind of barbecue or something. It was somebody's friend something or other, and it was a summer day, and this girl was at the barbecue, and I said, "Man, your breasts are phenomenal. And she's like, oh, do you want to feel them? And I was like, yes, yes, please. And I'm like, oh my God, they're so soft and so squishy and so natural. And she's like, oh, yeah, my doctor is so and so. And I was like, okay, noted. Then I was at the Mall of America, which I went to quite often. Sometimes people would ask me, um, do you work here at the mall? And I was like, no, I'm just here all the time. I loved the Mall of America growing up. I used to save my allowance all summer so that come my birthday in September, my parents and my brother and I would go to the Mall of America, and I would blow all my money in one day, just getting clothes from the Mall of America. So the Mall of America had a sweet, tender spot in my heart. And when I moved to Minneapolis, I moved somewhat. I was on the south side of Minneapolis, so it was just a quick little drive over to the Mall of America. So if I needed anything, I went to the Mall of America. And one day I walked into the Express store, and this woman was wearing an Express tank top, and she was walking toward me. And I, she's like, hey, welcome in. Can I help you with anything? And I said, your boobs are phenomenal. I said, are they yours or did you buy them? And she said, well, I paid for them and they were expensive. So they are definitely mine now. And I said, great. And who was your surgeon? And she told me, oh, Dr. So and so. And it was the same doctor that this other girl had had. So I was like, ding, ding, ding. This is my surgeon. And come to find out, he was well known for his breast augmentation procedure. He did a lot of schooling and a lot of training in that particular specialty. So I just felt really confident going to him. Years later, I found out he lost his license because he was sexually inappropriate with some of his patients, which was idiotic in my opinion. And there you go. So anyway, that was the gentleman that I ended up going to see for my breast augmentation. And the first set, if you will, I got, and I was like, okay, these are great, and I'm about the same size as I was. They're just like higher and tighter, basically. Because after I had started teaching group dance and fitness, I had dropped some weight and tightened up, and so of course, breast tissue is just fat, and so I had lost some of the volume already. And so basically, when he put the implants in and did the half a lift, I was kind of the same size I was before. And I thought, man, if I'm going to do this, it's like a go big or go home kind of situation. So I ended up going back into surgery and getting bigger implants. And that is honestly what most women end up doing. It's usually when women get their first set of implants, they're like, they're not big enough because in their head, they have this certain expectation or just body dysmorphia in general. So anyway, I was one of those gals, and so I went in for a second procedure and got even bigger ones. And so I had those bad boys for, like I said, over a decade. So walked around with Dolly Parton esque frame. Not quite. Dolly's a whole nother level, and she loves it, and she's 100% her, and I cheer her on. Kudos to Dolly. For me, after having the implants for 14 years, and my priorities changed. I never had any health issues. People would say, oh, yeah, do you have back issues? No, I didn't have any back issues. Like, if you stay fit and your core is strong, I don't know. I just didn't find back issues. I also found that women with naturally large breasts seem to have more issues than fake ones because fake ones are just not real. I mean, they're not as heavy. It's just different. It's not your actual body. And so, um, I don't know. I never had any back issues. I never had any complications. I didn't have any health issues. People would ask if I had health issues. And, there are people that say that you can get implant disease. When I went to see one of the surgeons that I had considered for the explant and full lift here in Chicago, she very much did not believe in explant disease. She said there is absolutely no scientific evidence that that's true. She believes it's in people's heads and it's her job to put in implants. So she She just, didn't believe that that was the case, and there are people that have their own personal stories that say how much better they felt when they got rid of their implants and that that was the best thing they ever did for their health. I didn't feel one way or the other. I was just sick of them. Like I said, when I got my implants and I loved that I was curvy and voluptuous now, and I had a much more full, round chest, and I wanted to wear the swimsuits and the cute tops and have a bunch of cleavage, and that was, again, the era that I was in my, late 20s, 30s. That's what I wanted. And then after getting that amount of attention and dating men that liked me because of my physical appearance and didn't much care that I had a brain in my head or certain aspirations or that I was funny, it was mostly they liked my looks. And again, at that time in my life, I didn't care. And then it started to transition where it was like, this isn't how I want to be seen anymore. As much fun as I had and as much money as I made with these things, this isn't what I want to present anymore. I want to walk into a room and just be Morgan. I don't want to be, wow, look at the girl with the huge boobs. Oh, nice to meet you, Morgan. So it was because that was depending on what I wore. I mean, I could really hide them well with sports bras and certain tops or whatever if I needed to or wanted to, or for when I was at work. And I mean, you'd see me at a pool in a bikini top, and people are like, "Whoa, Morgan came with her own flotation devices." My buddy, one of my friends down in Florida used to joke about that. Morgan came and she brought her own life preservers, and so and it was funny, ha ha ha, and it was what it was. And like I said, I didn't not enjoy that era of my life. And it got to a point where it was like, what are my priorities here? Like, what I don't want is that kind of attention anymore. I want someone to fall for me, be attracted to me because they find out how educated I am and that I have something to say and I'm extremely opinionated and I'm funny sometimes and they want to talk to me. And when I say I went from my Dolly to my Frankenstein era, I say that lovingly because now I'm scarred. I have scars, and it's called an anchor scar. It is a long vertical scar down each breast, and then two horizontal scars all the way end to end on each breast, and then all the way around the areola. And when my surgeon put my areolas back on, they're not symmetrical. Like one's up and to the left a little bit, and one's kind of center but a little bit low. Like it is what it is. And I am lovingly now embracing my scars and the fact that this is my new era. What I'm trying to attract isn't what I was trying to attract before. And also, I wanted to be all natural again. There was a point where I enjoyed dressing up like a Barbie to show the boobs and show the cleavage and be the curvy girl and get that kind of attention, and it was super fun. I don't regret a second of it. I had a great time. And then I'm just like, I'm in a different era. I wanna live out loud and still be unapologetically me, and now I'm ready to switch up the look and how I present myself unapologetically. And so I changed, and what I did was I started to research surgeons, and I happened to work for a company at a time where there was a amniotic membrane, umbilical cord tissue, it's a skin substitute basically, that I wanted used in the procedure because it mitigated inflammation, it mitigated scar tissue formation, it mitigated pain, but it also promoted healing. And I really wanted a surgeon that was going to use that product and somebody that had a great reputation. And as you know, my former doctor in Minnesota, great reputation back in the day, fell hard because he made a gigantic mistake. Um, and this gentleman I found, he was down in Jacksonville, Florida, And so I flew down there and got the procedure done. And it was scary at first. So the procedure itself was easy. I mean, I feel like certain procedures are pretty low risk, and because breasts are external, it's still a sterile surgery. It's not like a sinus surgery that's a clean surgery. It's still a sterile surgery, and you have to be careful and worry about infections and all the things. And it's still like an ancillary product almost, or body part. And so it was like, okay, you're going to cut me open, get the implant out, do the full lift. I knew there was going to be a lot of scarring. And I will say, day 2 or 3, when you can finally take a shower, it was a very, very different experience for me than when I got the implants. Because when I got the implants, I only had a half moon scar on the top of my areola. So he did put the implant in, did a full, like a half a lift, and stitched me up. I was moving around the next day, running errands with my parents who came to take care of me. Like I said, I was trying on outfits. I was loving them. I was back to teaching dance and fitness 2 weeks later. It was like big and exciting. When I went to the strip club for the first time after I got my boobs done, I got to the locker room and girls came running up to me like I had brought a puppy to work. And they're like, "Oh my God, we heard. Let's see. Oh my God, they look great." And, so it was like this big celebration. When I got the explant and the full lift, not as much of a celebration at first. It was frightening because you're taking off this, medical cheesy bra that they put on you to go home. You have all these bandages and it's like bloody and it's like dried blood. And so it's kind of sticking to you and you've got stitches and everything's like puckered up and bruised. I mean, it looked for, I don't know, at least 2 weeks like I'd gotten in a hideous car accident. I was terribly bruised after the procedure. And um I when I first saw them, when I took everything off, all the bandaging and the like they said, this like weird crappy bra that they send you home in, um, I started crying. And I was crying because it was scary to see how different your body was, because you just don't know what it's gonna look like after. I mean, when I got my breast augmentation, they were just bigger, rounder, and beautiful. They were perfect. And then after an explant and a full lift, you don't know what you're gonna get. And the doctor's gonna do the best that the doctor can do to make you feel beautiful and reconstruct you in the most perfect way he or she can as a surgeon. And you're screwing with nature. You're taking apart your body and putting it back together. And so the first time I saw it, it was frightening. It was the stitches and the blood, and um dried blood. It wasn't like I was actively bleeding, and it was just like, "Oh my god." I was for almost 15 years looking at these big, round, perfect, voluptuous breasts, and now I again have these smaller, saggy, almost empty breasts, and it was like, "Oh my god." And it was just shocking, and then I realized that even the day of the surgery, when I left the surgery center, I felt light. I felt free. And even though it was scary to see them post surgery for that first shower, I felt so free and light. Like I said, there's no other way to describe it. It was like, oh my God, I've been carrying around these things for so long. And they weren't necessarily heavy, they were unnecessary. And they were foreign objects. Your body is constantly fighting a foreign object if it is in your body. And so when I got the implants out, I was like, wow, I am 100% me again. That's it. There's nothing fake about me anymore. I am 100% right here, take it or leave it, embracing my Frankenstein era. And I felt beautiful, powerful, strong. I mean, you put your body through a lot of stuff, and I'm not saying it was necessary, and I definitely there's a debate, like, maybe I never should have done it in the first place, or maybe I should have only done the lift all those years ago and just lifted up what I already had, because that's basically where I'm at again. I basically went from where I was, just all natural as genetics made me, to two different alterations just to go back to where I was in the beginning with a lift, but now uneven and scarred and all the things. And yet I don't regret it for a second, because some people could say, what a waste, what a waste of money, what a waste of time. You got rid of them anyway. Why did you even do it in the first place? Because I wanted to. That was the era I was in. That's what I wanted at the time. And I'm one, allowed to change my mind. And two, nothing is permanent in this life. Things change all the time. Our bodies change all the time. Women, especially. I mean, we have a cycle, and we have some women choose to have kiddos, and now your body grows and expands to create another human, and then you have to deliver that human, and now your body's got to bounce back from that, and it's probably never quite going to be the same. And it's just things get stretched and torn, and people have accidents, and they break bones, and they rip tendons, and our body is far from stable or permanent. Things change. And so for me, I have absolutely no regrets. Everything I've done was because that was what I wanted to do in that time, and I'm okay with that. And every choice I've made felt like the best choice in that time at that moment. And I get to change my mind if I want. And I get to step into a different era if I want. And now I'm in an all natural era. I'm in the take it or leave it era of my life. I'm in the you find me physically attractive? Fantastic. And what else are you going to connect with me on? Because the looks will come and go, and they're going to change. What else? Why else would you want to be in my life? How are we going to offer each other value? Because the look stuff, been there, done that, had a lot of fun. Now what? Now I'm 100% me, and I got some scars to boot. Again, take it or leave it. I love them. It shows a story. It's a whole storybook that I can tell you where I was, why I was there at the time, why I changed my mind, how I got to where I am now. And I just feel like that lightness and that freedom I felt after I got out of surgery, I feel like I'm carrying that into my next era. That I really want to be free, light, scarred, and unapologetic. I have gotten over the years a lot of questions about what doctor I went to and why I decided to get my implants. And a lot of women decide to get implants, and kudos to you. I think that everyone does it for certain reasons, and some people keep them for the rest of their lives, or they go ahead and, it's like anything, you have to get them replaced if you're going to choose to keep them. And I think some women choose to change out their implants, and maybe they go smaller, or they, keep them the same size or go bigger, who knows, whatever their choice is, good for them. As long as it's for them. Because I wonder sometimes if someone decides, I don't really want implants anymore, and it's been 10 or 15 years, and I'm supposed to get these things changed out every so often. Because you are. I mean, your body, you have something in your body, and it's wearing and tearing and moving around in there. Eventually, it is like a pair of shoes. You're going to wear them out. A physical object can only last so long. And God forbid that one of them is, if you have silicone, is ruptured and you don't know, and it's just sitting there in your body. You just don't know. And the only way to find out, from what I understand, is if you get an MRI or a doctor or surgeon goes in there and looks and finds that you have a ruptured implant. So it's something to think about. And for women that are wondering, should I just get them changed out or should I get rid of them altogether? And if they're afraid to get them out altogether because they're afraid of what other people will think, or that they will not be beautiful anymore because they don't have these Barbie boobs, I beg to differ. And again, it depends on where you're at in your life. Like I said, I don't regret for a second my choice for when I did what I did, because that's what I wanted in my life at that time. And if you're truly feeling like, I don't want these big boys in my body anymore, I'm ready to be just all natural. For me, it was wanting to not have any foreign objects in my body and also just go for a leaner, fitter look. As I get older, I just want to simplify and amplify the authentic me. I didn't want to fake anything anymore. I didn't want that kind of attention or mindset or outcome in my life. I just want simple, authentic connection with myself and also other people. Wherever you are at in your body story, whatever you choose to do, please, please, please do it for you and only you. When I got my implants, people would say, "Oh, are you doing this because you're dancing?" No, I'm doing it because I wanted big boobs. That is the only reason I did it. And when I decided to get an explant and full lift, people say, "Oh, were you having health problems? Oh, were you having back pain problems?" No, I did it for me because I didn't want them anymore. I was done with them. Simple as that. So no matter how you want to alter your body, um, because you are more than free to do whatever you want with your body. It is your body. It is the car driving your soul around in this lifetime. And you get to decorate it, paint it, change it, modify it as much as you want, as long as you are doing it for you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Your Unapologetic Life. I hope you found inspiration and practical tips to help you embrace your unique beauty. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with at least one woman in your life that you care about. Hit that follow button, and if this episode resonates with you, take a moment to rate and review. Your support helps us reach more women on their journeys to confidence. And remember, for even more resources, including my exclusive Lose the Midlife Belly guide filled with my personal tips and tricks, visit morganbarkis.com and subscribe to my email list. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to connect with you in the next episode.